Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Thunder podcast with special guest this time, Brie.
Hello.
Who you've never met before.
No.
We've got a brand new person in the podcast rotation here. Brie, we've known each other for quite a while.
Yeah.
But our listeners here have not met you before, so why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
So I met Dusty through marketing stuff with the company I work for. And we've just gotten along really well, and I've been super excited to work with him. So I'm nothing too exciting anymore. I used to be cool. I was kind of cool.
Wait, you got some really cool background things.
I do have some kind of interesting background stuff.
I think you got to tell them.
Okay, so I used to be involved in professional wrestling. I was not a wrestler. Let's get that clear. I did some things in the ring, but I was what we call a valet. Because I would never say I was a wrestler and let those guys hear me say that.
What is a valet?
So the girls outside the ring, not like a card girl in boxing, but the girls outside the ring are a manager role.
Okay.
As a bad guy, which was always my favorite to be. I was there just to kind of mess stuff up, and it was so much fun.
So your job was just to be menacing? That was pretty much it?
I just was there to be an asshole.
That's
ascon.
A dream job.
I was pretty good at it, honestly.
Wow.
I think. So yeah, that was the cool thing I did. And I've done some TV stuff here and there and some radio stuff here and there, and just now I'm kind of just boring in comparison. It's great.
I can't shake this image of you as like a female Vince McMahon now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wishes. I'm just kidding. It was really fun. It was the most fun. It was really great.
I feel like we're gonna have to write a script for a spot at some point that casts a very specific character so that you can play that character one more time.
I'm down. It's been a year, I think, since I was in the ring.
Break out your leather jacket. Did you have like a specific costume that you wore for this?
No,
gig?
I just wore whatever.
Okay.
I did have my own ring music and entrance stuff. It was Poison. Thank you very much. I was really proud of it. Nothing but a good time.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was fun. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, it is so fun to meet people. We met each other in a professional setting, right? But then to get to know each other a little bit better and to hear backstories like that, where you're just like, where
does that come from?
I would have never guessed.
Yeah, I get that one a lot. I did send a guy to a hospital once, which was also exciting. Legitimately, he had to go to the hospital. I didn't mean to do it. That was a legitimate, true accident. But I'm kind of wear it as a badge of honor now. Sorry.
What did you do to him?
I was given brass knuckles to hit him with, and I kept telling them they were way too big for my hands because you put them in and these were sticking out quite a bit farther than they were supposed to. And I'd warned them that they were sticking out too far. So when I went to hit, I caught him on the head. He still has the scar with the brass knuckles. And maybe we could have gotten away with super gluing it, but we didn't. And now I get to say I sent someone to the hospital.
With brass knuckles?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now I'm a mom, so
we got Brie the Badass here. That's your new name for the show, Brie the Badass. What was your name for your gig?
Oh, this is a terrible. All right, I will tell you this, but please remember I started when I was 17 years old.
Okay.
God, this is embarrassing. It was Sassy Merlot. Yep.
Sassy Merlot.
That was it. I named myself after a strip club that I saw on a road trip to a show. And it was like Sassy Reds or something. And I was like, well, I can't totally steal it. So it became Sassy Merlot.
Sassy Merlot.
Thank you, 17-year-old Brie, for that.
I dig it. I dig it. Now, okay, so that begs the question that now as an adult, are you a Merlot girl?
I hate it. I hate it. I'm not. I'm a red blend type person. Not a Merlot fan at all. But I was 17. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was bougie.
Yes, it seemed it. And I didn't want to name myself what I did know, which was like Boone's Farm or something. So it was Merlot.
Oh, yeah. Sassy Zima. Yeah. It just doesn't have the same ring to it. It
didn't fit right.
Nah, it just doesn't have the same ring to it. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Wow. Okay, so keep that in mind as we're hearing Brie the Badass's feedback on stories later on, because she's going to be like, I'll just put them in a full Nelson. And
I also have a pretty good understanding of assholes. So being around wrestlers for that long. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get into it.
Cool. Okay, so Brie's already familiar with how the show works. If this is your first time watching, what we'll do is I'll read a story from AITA, the AITA subreddit or another source, and then the two of us together will discuss the story and use the ascon scale to classify how big of an asshole the OP or other character in the story is. This is going to be another 2-part podcast, so we'll actually have 3 stories in part 1, and we'll have 4 stories in part 2. Candy Thunder, she harvested our stories for today. Again, I have not read them. We blind react everything because it just seems like the cooler thing to do. And that's it. So are you ready to rock and roll and get into our first freaking story here?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. All right, the first one is from the AITA subreddit, and it is, am I the astronaut for eating salad in front of my girlfriend and then making a joke about it? I feel like there's a sexual innuendo in here somewhere.
That would make sense.
The joke, yes, no, you can't. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I, 28 male, grew up in a family that put a lot of emphasis on healthy eating. Okay, it wasn't what we think. It wasn't what we thought it was.
We were way off.
We can go ahead and rule that one out right now. As a kid, we always started dinner with a salad, and I've continued to practice that as an adult. I don't take my salad with any dressing, and the only toppings I add are mushrooms and tomatoes. Time out.
Yeah, he's already lost me.
Eating lettuce, it's just roughage.
That isn't even...
That's not healthy eating. That just clears a path, right?
That's exactly what that would do. Yeah. And mushrooms and tomatoes. All right.
All right. Since I don't put dressing on my salad, I often eat it with my hands since it's easier than trying to spear the dry mixed greens with a fork. I've been eating my salads like this basically since I was a teenager, and it was never an issue, even when having dinner with my parents. My girlfriend, 27 female, eats salads occasionally, but doesn't love them the way I do, which is fine. She's currently pregnant, and pretty much all she wants to eat right now is meat and potato type meals, which is fine also. She's had some severe morning sickness in the first trimester, and it's been a struggle to find foods that she can consistently keep down. So we'll make something she wants for dinner, and then I will pair it with a side salad for myself, so I'm still getting my greens. Lately, I've noticed she's been a little distant during dinner, so I asked her about it. She said that my side salads are unappetizing to her, and she requested I stop eating them in front of her because it makes her nauseous to watch. I told her that everything makes her nauseous right now, and that it's not fair to me that I have to change my lifelong diet because of her pregnancy symptoms. She told me that the issue isn't with the salad, it's the way I shove it down my throat like a caveman. Apparently that makes her gag, and then she doesn't want to finish her own food. I told her that I've been eating my side salads like that for over a decade, and no one has ever commented on it. So I think she's being overdramatic. That's what you tell a pregnant woman.
That's brilliant.
Good move.
Yep.
I told her that her caveman comment was rude and unnecessary, and that I would continue the conversation with her when she's ready to talk about it in a more reasonable way. She immediately got up, went to the nursery, and shut the door behind her. When I walked by later, I could hear her crying, but I didn't go in to say anything because I feel like she should be the one to apologize to me for the crass comments she made about how I eat. She ended up sleeping on the glider in the nursery while I slept in our bed alone. We sat down for breakfast this morning in silence, so I attempted to diffuse the tension by asking if the way I was eating my toast was acceptable or if it was also making her nauseous. Yes, good job, dude. Mm-hmm. That's the way to diffuse the tension. Yeah. She immediately started crying again, calling me an asshole and accusing me of not caring about her feelings or how hard the pregnancy has been on her. All I was trying to do was make a joke, and I know pregnancy is hard, but women go through it just fine all the time, so I don't understand why she's making such a big deal about it. So am I the asshole for eating my salads in front of her, then making a joke about it the next morning? I want us to sit down and resolve this when she gets home from work tonight, so I guess if I need to apologize, I will.
I guess. I guess if I need to.
I guess if I have to. Basically, if the
if
whole
she's not going to get over it.
Yeah. If you guys think I'm the asshole too, then I guess I can apologize. I'm not going to mean it, but I can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Candy Thunder included the top comment for us to read here. That top comment is, she's not asking you to change what you eat. She's asking you to change where or how you eat. She can't control her nausea, but you can control how and where you eat your vegetables. I'm guessing by your clueless and unsympathetic reaction to her request that you're constantly dismissing her pregnancy symptoms, especially since you think pregnancy isn't that big of a deal. I know pregnancy is hard, but women go through it just fine all the time. Looking forward to your next post about being confused as to why your girlfriend won't let you in the delivery room. You're the asshole. Well, that summed it up quite nicely.
Yeah.
What vibes did you get from this?
So I've been pregnant 3 times. I've done this. I was sick terribly all 3 times. So I feel for her because it's awful and you can't do anything about it. The way this man eats salad makes me sick to think about. And I'm not pregnant.
You're not even pregnant right now.
And I'm not even pregnant. Again, thank God. So yeah, you're kind of an asshole. Not even for nothing else. Just get rid of all the rest of it. And down to making a joke about how she feels. You're kind of an asshole. Like, you're not at all sympathetic to this girl's situation, which you caused, by the way.
Which you caused. Hey-o.
You're going to hear it later. So this is all your fault.
This is all your fault in about 1,000 different ways.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even a joke. That's the funny part here. The funny part is that it wasn't a joke. It was, he's saying it was a joke because it was him taking another jab.
It was a jab.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then he's like, oh, I was just joking. Trying to relieve the tension by being an even bigger asshole, you know?
Right. And then getting mad at her reaction to his behavior, which is such a gaslight move. It's very annoying.
It also just seems like... Yeah, so the top comment here calling his reaction clueless and unsympathetic, it kind of leads me to believe that this guy has no idea what pregnancy really is.
Yeah. No, there's no way he's ever been around a pregnant person.
It's not just growing a seed and carrying it around until it becomes a full bean. You know what I mean? It is. I've gone through this. I've not gone through this. I've gone through stories like this several times, and I always come back to what I imagine women to be dealing with while going through pregnancy. And do you remember Krang in the Ninja Turtles?
Yes.
The robot body that had little brain in the middle with the joysticks that controlled everything.
That is what that's like. That's a great way to put that.
Yeah. They've got the baby, the baby's down there with the joysticks, just choosing random shit. It doesn't even know how to operate stuff yet. It's just pressing buttons and doing whatever. It's like, what does this do? Boop, 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 boop. There's no physical, biological way that a woman can control everything that she did control before once pregnant.
And also, she may not actually feel this dramatic about this situation, but she can't control these things right now.
Right.
I don't know how many times I would have a reaction. I'm like, I'm being a little over the top, but I couldn't help it. Like, and I tried not to be a person that used that as an excuse, but sometimes you can't control it. You feel crazy.
Did you feel like you kind of saw everything happening in third person in those instances?
Yeah, I felt like I was inside my own self going, this doesn't matter this much. But I couldn't make myself get through that because these hormones, and I was sick and I was exhausted.
Right.
And I just sometimes wanted some sympathy. If we're honest, sometimes we just need a little bit of sympathy. And it doesn't sound like this girl gets a whole lot of that, generally speaking. So I'm sure she's exhausted. And if you want to go down to the basics of this, dude, whether she's pregnant or not, the way you eat salad is disgusting. That is gross.
It's like, well, no one else has ever said anything about it. Does that mean it's acceptable?
Right. And does the rest of your family sit around the table and eat salad with their hands?
It's not like, because he says he even eats like that with his parents, and it's never been a problem, which indicates that they do not eat like that. But that's like me saying, I've been shitting on the sidewalk since I was 10. No one's ever said anything.
Until now, I don't know where her problem is.
Yeah, so apparently it's a problem with you, person who said something about it.
Yeah.
But it's not even, in this top comment again, I think one of the things they point out, which is really important to me here, is that she's not asking you to stop eating what you're eating. She's not even asking you to stop eating the way that you're eating. She's just asking you to not do that in front of her.
Yeah. And the reality is that at some point in this pregnancy, it isn't going to probably bother her, but right now it's bothering her. And maybe it will. Maybe it will the entire pregnancy. Maybe it's bothered her all along and she just can't control their reaction to it anymore. But the likelihood is this isn't going to be a thing that's going to always be a thing.
Right.
And your reaction to this, even though it seems so like it doesn't matter at all, your reaction to this matters more than you have any idea about. And it's not going to be a thing that's going to just go away.
He doubled down.
Yeah, he did hard. And that's going to be a thing she remembers way after the baby comes out.
Yep. It's not a, hey, I get it. This one thing bothers you. And it wouldn't normally. This is the first time she's mentioned it. And we don't know how long they've been together, but True. She's pregnant and they live together. Mm-hmm. They have a nursery. Mm-hmm. So there's been enough time to have all of that happen. So you're right. This probably is something that's not going to bother her forever. But there was a graceful way to just put this small fire out. Mm-hmm. And instead, Brozo here just decided to go scorched earth.
Yeah, he did.
And be like, you know what? I'm going to cause 1,000 more problems.
This was a pride thing. He let pride step in the way of good judgment. And maybe he doesn't have the capacity for that good judgment, but pride got in the way of good decisions for sure.
Well, that's going to be a growing problem because this pregnancy continues.
And then you have postpartum. And you think pregnancy hormones are wild? Postpartum's going to be a ride, buddy. It's going to be interesting.
And then you have parenting.
Yeah.
Like this is.
And then there's a kid there.
Yeah. And then there's and there's a kid. And then that kid's a toddler. And then
who's
someday
going to probably eat with his hands, by the way. Or her.
Oh, man. This is in the context of your relationship and journey with your partner here and this pregnancy is something that you need to get right because you need to learn how to problem solve.
And not let it sit to the point that your pregnant girlfriend is asleep in a glider while you're asleep in a bed.
Yeah.
Pregnant girlfriend.
Letting that happen is like, ooh.
Yeah. So did she probably overreact? Yeah, I think she probably had an overreaction, I would assume. But also, man, you're saying you understand pregnancy and there's symptoms and hormones and all of that, but you still didn't try to make it right or to understand what she was saying.
Yeah, it's like I recognize that there are hormone differences when someone is pregnant, but I'm not going to attempt to empathize at all. Mm-hmm. It's just I recognize that biologically some shit's happening there. Still don't think I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think there are different scales of reason for human beings, right? So there's by the normal non-pregnant human being reaction scale, yes, she probably overreacted.
Right.
For the pregnant woman reaction scale, I don't think anything's an overreaction.
All bets are off.
Right. So, man, just learn to deal with it and not make things worse. Okay, so this definitely puts him on the ascon scale.
He's on the ascon scale.
Okay, so it's a matter of just where is he? How severe is this? Mm-hmm. So ascon 4 is the least severe asshole. I used to say least amount of asshole. And then that just got weird.
Severe. Yeah, I like that. Severe.
So, least severe. Mm-hmm. And that's could have done it differently. ascon 3 is you should have done it differently. ascon 2 is you definitely shouldn't have done that. And ascon 1 is you're a terrible human.
Okay.
Are we a terrible human?
I don't think we're a terrible human.
Yeah.
Unless this is a constant behavior of not recognizing one's own decision making.
It seems like it's the beginning of what could be that.
It seems like probably... Yeah, I'm going to agree with that because I could go down a whole other path. But yeah, he's not a terrible human yet, I think.
Yet.
He has terrible human potential, maybe.
Terrible human potential.
Yeah. Yep, I'm going to stick with that.
Welcome aboard, sir. We hire for potential.
You, sir.
You seem to have what it takes to be a really terrible human.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
You're in like the minor leagues for ascon 1. You're going to get called up at some point here.
If you don't change behavior, you're getting called up.
Keep performing like that, son, and we'll have you up in the big leagues in no time.
Yeah. I'm going to call him a 2 or 3 for sure. I'm leaning more toward a 2 because I get the vibe this is this guy's normal behavior.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And because all it takes for him to get to 1 is to do it one more time.
Totally.
And I mean, at that point, maybe 1 or 2 more times, but it becomes a pattern. But everything that he says in here indicates to us that unless he heeds advice from Reddit and from outsiders, he is going to continue setting this world ablaze and making it worse and worse and worse. And it could be an inability to empathize, right?
It could be.
I mean, some people are just not wired to be able to do that. And that's one thing. But
those people also aren't usually wired to jump straight into smartass either.
That's true.
And this guy leaned hard into the smartass. And I appreciate a smartass. I mean, I do when it's not geared toward me. I think smartass is great. But this was mean smartass, not funny, kitschy smartass.
To your pregnant girlfriend.
Yeah.
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 That ain't the time, bro.
That was not a wise choice.
Not the time. Not the time or the person to be directing your smart acidness on.
Smartassery, if you will.
Yes. Smartassery. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we've landed on a solid number 2 here.
I agree.
For Brozo, who likes to piss off his pregnant girlfriend by eating salad like a barbarian.
With just mushroom and tomato.
And with his fingers. I mean, you do you. But if you want to have a continuing healthy relationship with this woman, and I think that you do, it's not, I don't want to say that it's learning to change yourself to appease someone, but there are concessions.
Yeah.
There are, what's the word I'm looking for here?
There's a need for growth.
Yeah.
There's a need for a little bit of growth.
You have to care enough about someone to not behave in a completely selfish way all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing right now is he's only able to think about himself. And dude, you're about to have a kid.
It feels like a vibe. Feels like that's his vibe.
Well, that vibe's got to change.
Maybe jumping to conclusions, but yeah, that vibe's not going to fly when you got a kid. No. Or it continues and then you end up having a kid who you also teach to do these things.
Or maybe it's a hardwiring thing and then it's a biological predisposition. Disposition?
Yep.
That word was hard.
Words
predisposition.
Are hard.
Words are hard all the time. Hard. Words are especially hard after a double birthday.
Yeah.
Navy and Ava. It was a good time. And here's the cool part. It was like 90 degrees yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was like close to 90 degrees today.
It was warm today.
And I just happened to get the pool like ready just in time.
Nice.
So the kids that came over today actually got to swim for a little bit. First time in the year.
That's cool.
Hey-o.
That's a good birthday party.
Yeah. It was worth it for them. For me, I'm like, it was so much work. I'm so tired. Words. What
Coffee.
words?
Coffee.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so
ascon 2.
For this one, we've got an ascon 2. And again, if he keeps behaving this way, he could easily creep up into the ascon 1 territory. So fix it.
Yep.
Fix it, bro. Don't
do better.
Don't make it worse. Fix it. All right, we're going to jump into our second story here. This one is actually from Am I the Devil? Which is another place that the AITA stories end up. And this one is, am I the astronaut for wanting a girl who hurt my daughter to be punished too? Post deleted from AITA, so I'm trying again here. Throwaway account. I, 36 female, have a daughter in middle school, Casey. Casey is the light of my life and the only kid I've been able to have. I love her no matter what, and I will always be in her corner. She's a bit of a jokester and likes to pull pranks on her family members and friends. She doesn't mean any harm by it, and she's just trying to make people smile. Yesterday, there was an incident at her school, and I was called down to talk with her principal. Casey was sitting there with some other girl with paint on her shirt who was bawling, tears running down her face, like full-on wailing. I could even hear her through the door crying about her shirt or whatever. The principal sent them out of the room before he talked to me. Apparently, according to the principal, during art class, Casey had poured paint on this girl's shirt, and in response, the girl pushed her back and shouted at her. According to the principal, Casey had also been messing with the girl for a week now, but if that's the case, why hadn't I been notified? Why wasn't anything done? Casey is now being given a week's lunch detention and 3 days ISS for her teasing, and she will not be allowed to participate in the end-of-year class party, and she has to write an apology note to the girl. When I asked what punishment the girl had been given for assaulting my daughter and shouting at her, the principal said that he couldn't tell me. So nothing then. She's going to get away with hitting my kid? Hell no, she's not. I asked Casey what happened, and she said she was only joking around. I didn't mean it. And then the girl punched her and called her an effing bitch. Don't know where she heard that language. And that she was lying about everything. And that the girl was gross and weird, and she threw paint on her because she wanted to see if she actually owned a different shirt because she wore the same one every day. I scolded her for calling the girl gross and weird, obviously, so don't comment on that. Obviously, I disagree with the harsh punishment. I believe my daughter over some random girl. I honestly think the girl was lying about the bullying to get out of her punishment that she would have got for assaulting my kid. Casey never acted like this before, and no one has ever reacted harshly to her honestly very harmless pranks. But then again, maybe the principal really just couldn't tell me, and that girl did get punished. My husband told me it's none of my business and I should just leave it alone, but I'm thinking about going to the school board. Am I the B here? Why shouldn't I believe my daughter? This one's interesting.
Oh, man.
I think, first of all, pouring paint on someone's shirt is not a harmless prank.
Agree.
We need to first establish that. Like, OP, your view of your daughter's pranks here, I think, is skewed through a filter of probably some kind of parental guilt trying to protect your child. So third party here, that is not a harmless prank. It was a shitty thing to do.
Really shitty. And if it was my kid that paint got poured on,
right,
the school would not be the issue.
So I guess here's the question, and this may come down to more of a legality thing, but it is pouring paint on someone assault? And I think it might be.
It might be. And I'm not like, I'm here for a joke. I'm here for a prank to an extent, but this isn't a funny ha-ha thing. And we are given more of a look into that when the daughter is saying this girl's gross and weird. She is saying in not those words, this was not a harmless prank.
Right.
This was intentional to hurt someone's feelings. When you are calling someone names or even if you're not calling those names, if you are saying those things, you're probably also saying them to other kids. You definitely did this in front of other kids. You are trying to single out and make someone feel bad. This isn't harmless. This is little kids. How old did she say her daughter was? I missed.
Ooh.
Because I feel like this was a middle school. Okay.
Yeah.
This is not a funny time to try to single out and try to mess with kids' feelings. And no time ever is, by the way. But man, middle school's tough. And middle school girls was one tough. That is a tough time. So I'm sorry, OP, you are ignoring some signs here that your daughter, she's saying them to you and you're still trying to make her a victim of something she did. And I think probably has been doing more than just, the single paint on the shirt incident.
So
this is a problematic situation.
Yeah,
I think. And I don't try to make things a bigger deal than they are, but this feels like it's probably a bigger deal than what we're hearing here.
Well, I mean, there's minimizing, and then there's this OP.
Yeah.
Because her kid told her that she bullied someone.
Yeah.
And she's like, my kid's the victim. Hold up.
Right.
She said this girl was gross and weird. Yeah. She threw the paint on her because she wanted to see if she actually owned a different shirt.
And also, by the way, then OP says, don't comment on that part. I already took care of it.
Don't comment on the part where my girl said that she bullied somebody.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that part. Like, no, you don't want to hear what you know. This isn't okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to comment on that part because that part is telling you that this isn't a harmless situation. She's owning what she did and you're letting her still be the victim of it. Nope. This isn't okay.
No, and this, so something that she said up here, I have heard some other parents say, and it's an immediate red flag to me. Oh, where the hell was it? Oh, here we go. Okay. I will always be in her corner. No matter what she does.
No matter what. Yeah.
No matter what she does, OP is always going to be in her corner. So she's already established here that even if it's wrong, she's going to be in her corner.
She's going to back her up.
Right. So in this case, I think yes, this is not a good take, OP. Like your kid is straight up telling you what she told you specifically, what she said, and why she did it. Those easily fit the parameters for bullying.
Yeah.
And if you go to school board, you're going to make the punishment on your child worse than it already is, because they're going to tell you the same thing. They're going to be like, oh, okay, wait, what? You mean your kid bullied someone in retaliation or in self-defense for the bullying that your child did?
Yes.
This child reacted.
That's another thing, by the way. She started out saying the other, who I'm going to be dramatic here and call her the victim. The victim of this situation got up and shoved or pushed, I think she said.
Yeah.
The girl pushed her back and shouted at her. But then down lower, it has become the girl punched her and called her whatever names, or punched her and called her an effing bitch. Those are, well, first off, not even the same story within the same story. It's just all, ugh. And then the way that OP is establishing what was happening, not making fun of the girl for crying, but she was wailing, and she could hear it through
about
the door.
Her shirt or whatever.
Like you used the word minimizing earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great word for it. And even more than that, like she is completely ignoring all the signs of an issue here. And I think I used the word enabling earlier with someone else. This is such enabling behavior. It's not going to end well for this child's personality, honestly, to think that this is okay and to have her mom in her corner.
Yeah.
I fully agree with, I love her no matter what. Not a thing my kids could do that I would not love them. But I am telling you right now, if my child did this, school wouldn't be the punishment she'd need to worry about. I have a zero bullying tolerance for anything toward my kids or if my kids are doing it. This is not okay. You don't raise good humans by allowing this kind of behavior.
Right.
Ever. So,
It's okay. So the question was,
is she the asshole for wanting her to?
Wanting the other girl to be punished as well. Yeah. Yes, you are.
You are.
Yes, yep. Definitely you are. But more importantly than that, I think first of all, I have seen firsthand an odd pattern where modern bullies, it's not the way that it used to be, where you had the very classic old school definition of bully. Mm-hmm. The modern bullies are very manipulative, very controlling, and almost master manipulators.
They really are.
In elementary school and middle school. I was getting ready to say,
my oldest is in 3rd grade right now, and man, the manipulation I have seen from, I'll say, from some kids in her class have been so alarming. I thought, and it hasn't even been directed toward my daughter necessarily, but knowing what's been going on in 3rd grade, I'm like, how are 8 and 9-year-olds even equipped with this?
Right.
It's alarming and scary. And this could have been an opportunity for you to teach your daughter about compassion and understanding and drawing lines and what boundaries are and being uplifting and how you can take a funny haha thing and go too far with it. And you are completely ignoring all educational opportunities here. And by middle school, I mean, God, talk about such formative times.
Yep.
There's an opportunity here to dig deep and have a really good human conversation. And you are instead enabling behaviors and allowing someone to be a victim who is absolutely not a victim here.
So the scary part about that is that I don't think she sees it.
I don't think there's any knowledge or understanding of what she has going on here or what is potential. What
did she say at the bottom? So I think there is
Also, Casey's never acted like this before.
Yeah. That you've heard about. Mm-hmm.
Also real fast. No, the principal can't tell you the other kid's punishment. That's not appropriate. So good call, principal. I'm sure she was pushing for more information.
Yeah. Yeah. Way to hold your
Yeah,
ground
that's
there.
a hard situation.
So I had to go find the line where she said her husband told her it's none of her business and she should just leave it alone, because I think the level of parental guilt that causes this kind of blindness is a lot of times a single parent thing or a blended family thing. It doesn't have to be, though, and in this case it's not. But I think there is a lot of parental guilt that causes blindness to this kind of thing. And that's not an easy thing to solve. This is not a worldview that's easily changed. Like, how in the hell would you go about trying to, if you had a parent that you knew had a bully child but couldn't see it, like how would someone approach you and try to be able to get through to you that you had a bully as a kid? Like, it would be tough.
It would be. And this one hits kind of close to home for me. Again, not even remotely close to this kind of situation, but knowing that you've got a parent that you so desperately want to be, there's no way you don't see this.
Right.
But you also know that this is not a person that you can go have that conversation with, because you will 100% become the target of all of this pent up anger and rage and guilt, because probably they do see a little bit of this, but they are not willing, able, capable of accepting that upon themselves or doing a little bit of introspection to figure out, where all this is coming from.
So you think even subliminally it's there? It's just denial?
I do. I think it's some denial. She also mentioned
that makes more sense.
In the beginning, the only child I was able to have. So there's some of that probably too. This is it kind of seems like she wanted more kids and there was something happening there that she wasn't able. And with that, I think comes such a protector vibe for that child.
That makes a lot of sense.
And so I think there's probably some of that there too, which does make me feel sad for her, because that is, the situation is sad if you wanted more and couldn't have more, whatever. But regardless of that, you still have that one kid then that you have to do right by. And if end goal, which maybe this is just my end goal as a parent, is to raise productive members of society who are kind and helpful, and that's not the whole end goal I have, but that is a big piece of what I hope for them, then you have to make some hard decisions. You have to hold them accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable, which sucks, by the way, as a parent.
Sure does.
To look at your kid and go, I messed that up. I didn't do that right. Or, man, I had a chance and blew it off because that was going to be way too hard to deal with in that moment.
Right.
It sucks, but you have to be able to do it. And I'm not sure OP has that process in her head at this point.
I think if anything, something that can be helpful, OP, is that you start asking yourself questions about the future as you start dealing with short-term problems or immediate problems, or even just, random decisions. Where is this going to lead? Does this align with my hopes and dreams for XYZ? And in this case, I really don't believe, OP, that you want your kid to be this kind of person. I don't believe that that's what you want. But you've got this short-sighted, I must protect my child from all things viewpoint, that it's to the detriment of her from a learning perspective, and to her for the person that she's going to be, and to her again, because you're not always going to be there to protect her from everything. You're not always going to be there to save her from everything. She's going to have to learn to take responsibility for her own actions. And that's when she starts choosing differently.
And that's going to be a harsh, maybe literal slap in the face when that time comes.
Right.
And that's going to be tough for her. And you're really doing her a disservice by not allowing her rather to figure some of these things out on her own.
Yeah. And not even just neglecting the teaching moment like we talked about earlier, but not even allowing her to learn on her own in these instances because you're swooping in and telling her that she's the victim in the situation, right, and advocating for her or being willing to at a higher level here. Like what? Man,
there's also, you're not switching the roles, which is meaning if this other girl had been Casey in the situation and Casey had been this other girl, imagine your response to that.
Ooh, if you rage.
Oh my
rage.
God. If your daughter is the one who is the person doing this action and you're this upset, oh my God. Imagine if it had been her shirt. Imagine if this other girl had called her gross and weird. Wow. And then let's keep that a step further and say, imagine your daughter then shoved this other girl.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know what her punishment or lack thereof is. But if your daughter then had gotten punished for reacting to this situation, would you still be having these thoughts about it? Or would you be furious that your kid was standing up for herself finally, which it sounds like has been going on for a week? Your kid finally standing up and then she's going to get in trouble for it? I would be furious. So I don't know. Maybe do a little bit of putting yourself in other people's shoes here. You both, I think, might need a little bit of a learning situation or teaching situation in this case.
Yeah, well, the kid in this scenario has been shaped this way by mommy, right? I mean, that's pretty easy to figure out here is that, mommy has allowed her to get to this point because she knows that she can do no wrong and that her mom's going to protect her no matter what, no matter how shitty her actions are.
Yeah.
So she's going to explore the boundaries of that and hasn't found them yet. So she's going to keep going. Okay. So specifically, we know mom's the asshole in this point.
Yeah.
Also, like, parenting is hard.
It's so hard.
It's complicated. And this kind of stuff, she may not even realize except for subliminally is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And to wake up to that would be a really painful thing. But what's the alternative? Like, how is your child going to end up? What kind of pain are they going to feel in their life because they've been allowed to become this person and they've been disallowed to learn these kind of lessons on their own? It's
in the name, by the way, of protection.
Yes.
Which, golly,
I'm protecting you by punting.
Yeah.
All lessons till I'm no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to feel all that pain all at once. And I don't have to deal with it.
Yep.
Hooray.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So mom, for wanting the other girl to get punished, lands where on the ascon scale?
Because I am a parent, I have trouble calling her an ascon 1 or putting her in that because I know parenting is hard and I hope that she'll awaken to this.
There's a chance.
I'm trying to be positive. I think she's kind of totally an asshole. I'm really trying to be positive with this.
But she has the chance to become enlightened to her own mistakes.
Yeah.
And change.
I was going to say maybe this opened her eyes. It didn't open her eyes. This didn't open her eyes.
It's going to be painful, but at some point she's got to figure this out. And we don't know what we don't know with any of these stories. This could be a pattern that was developed by her mother.
Yeah.
This could be a generational thing where, she doesn't know any different. And that could absolutely be the case. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. That doesn't excuse anything. So are you thinking 2? Definitely shouldn't have done that.
Thinking 1. I think she's kind of a terrible human who's raising another terrible human.
Leaning toward the 1.
That's harsh.
It is harsh.
It is. But allowing your kid to do these things and make her the victim of them is kind of a terrible person.
It is. For your kid to straight out tell you that the action, like describe the actions that she performed and for that to fit to the T, a description of a bully.
Yeah.
And her to be like, oh no, this
other girl should be in trouble because she reacted to my daughter. Who does these things all the time to be funny and make people laugh.
That was super funny.
Hilarious. I'm sure all the other bullies in the class thought it was great. Yeah, you're kind of terrible. And I hope that you can gear back toward level 2.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You're an AScon 1 OP, but
I think so.
That's not a forever title. You do have the ability to change. It is especially important that you do because your child needs to as well.
Yeah. Even if you want to stay a terrible human forever, you do you, whatever. But man, be a parent. Give your kid a chance. Be a parent. And I don't doubt this lady's love for her child. I'm sure this kid is loved beyond words. But you are not doing your child a service by allowing this stuff to happen. You are an enabler.
You know, maybe that's the biggest difference between what I imagine the old school bully to be and the new school bully to be. I imagine the old school bully to be someone who was unloved by parents and neglected and left to their own devices.
Attention.
Yes. But the new school is, I have a helicopter parent who says that I can do no wrong, no matter how wrong what I do is.
Anything I want.
Right. This is the new school bully parent.
That is a very good point. And right on. I think that hits the nail on the head.
It's interesting.
It is, and it's sad. And it's getting younger and younger.
It is. Like we first noticed it in elementary school. And I thought, how is this even possible that young children behave this way? Well, it's because they learn it from their parents, obviously. And also they learn it from watching garbage like Dance Moms.
True.
And other shows that are right here in the palm of their hands, and they're just absorbing it. And this gets absorbed as normalcy to them. So they're learning behaviors, even if it's just for entertainment purposes right here, like those things are okay to them. So they're learning so much more at such a more rapid pace than we were subjected to as kids.
Yeah, they're bombarded.
Yeah.
And the reality is if we're allowing them to be seeing all of these things, we can't actually, as much as we say, oh, I monitor everything. No, you don't. You can't.
There's no way. And man, we all know the rabbit holes that we can go down on the internet, or even just watching TV. We can binge a show and not fully understand everything that we've just been subjected to. Right.
So imagine these little kids doing this, and we can't possibly stay on top of all of that all the time. So
I don't even know that you would want to, because that's just protecting them again,
true.
Right? And they're gonna find this one way or another, whether it's
true
under your wing.
So it's more about creating an environment where you're going to see things. If you have a question, come to me and talk to me about it, instead of maybe that's the vibe that you need to go
supplement.
Down.
Supplement with at least some teachings about reaffirming what's right and wrong, and what certain kinds of content mean, and what behaviors are okay and not okay. I think there has to be that supplement to be like, man, in that show you're watching, this person does this a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think that's okay?
Right.
And
what would happen to you if you did these things? What behaviors are okay here? And I think that's a good point. And again, creating a space where your kids are comfortable saying, hey, I have a question about this, or I saw this, what is that? Or even if your kids do screw up, creating a space where they can come to you and say, I screwed up. And instead of attacking, then you say, all right, let's talk about that.
Right.
How did you feel about it? Do you feel like that was a good choice? And then guiding it. I think that's a big difference too in parenting now versus like when I was a kid. Let me back up. I didn't screw up a whole lot because I was terrified of my parents. Michelle, however, my sister, you all have met her. Maybe. Yeah, right? Michelle was on.
Yeah, Michelle was on. She was our first podcast guest ever.
Yeah. So Michelle, she screwed up a lot and did not care, by the way. She couldn't have cared less. But as a kid, I remember.
Yeah, you ended up as the wrestling villain.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
It was my outlet because my whole life I just kept it all bottled in.
You had to play the role. It was a thing
I heard a lot. You bottle things in. Well, wrestling helped me with that. But anyway, Michelle just didn't care about anything. So she got in trouble a lot. And no dig at my parents, but it was parenting style was yell, get in trouble, yell. And maybe that's the difference now is that we're creating this generation, our generation is creating environments of safety and let's talk this through and figure it out. And maybe that's the way through.
Which is tough.
It's hard because you want to react, right? And like my oldest wants me real bad to react to things. She thrives off of me reacting.
Really?
Yeah.
Just escalation?
She is my sister in a younger form. She's Michelle. But in this lady's case, I don't know that there is a situation or an environment of really discussing. I have a feeling this little girl comes home and tells her version of things.
Sure.
And mom she said in here, why should I not believe my daughter over some random kid?
Yeah. But also her daughter straight up told her.
True. She said that she called her gross and weird.
So she may be crying out for help here and just telling her exactly what she's doing and just, needing her to course correct and mommy's not doing it because she's just going to protect her from everything.
Yep.
Why is everything so complicated? Holy shit.
It is because it's parenting.
Good night. Well, kids are so much more complicated now.
They are. It's a lot. Worth it most of the time.
I always thought that as technology advanced, everything would get easier for us. It's quite the opposite.
Mm-hmm. It is.
With the robots. Come on, man. Mm-hmm. Help us. Okay, let's dive into our final story for part 1 here. And this one is from the AITA subreddit. And it is, am I the ascon for ignoring and not including my female coworker, even though that's what she requested? This is not an issue I'm having with the company. It's just something with me and her. It's probably happening with other male coworkers, but I can't speak on their behalf. I work in an office and have a normal, friendly relationship with my coworkers. We joke at times and have gone for drinks after work. None of these people are my best friends or anything, but I'm cool with them, including the women. Recently, a new woman was hired, and shortly after that, we received a message from HR. They said that we were going to have some employee conduct and harassment meeting. They brought in a speaker and we watched some videos and did an online test like at a job orientation. Basically, we learned to keep conversations work focused, avoid or limit conversations after hours or not at the job. Obvious things like never make comments on physical appearance or do anything inappropriate. They even acted out examples. There was a video of someone bumping into a coworker at the park and they showed the right and wrong examples. The right was just basic formalities and keeping it moving. The wrong was extending the conversation and asking about their day. I didn't think anything of it because we have HR meetings like this from time to time. Never this extensive, though. The new employee pretty much said that she asked for this meeting to happen. She said that she agreed with everything we learned and that it was good to know. Now, I'm not here to judge her to say that she did the wrong thing. I don't know what she experienced in the short time she's worked here or at her previous job. I don't know the kind of life she has lived or what she's gone through. I really don't want this to become people saying, don't trust women. I was at the coffee shop after work and she came in shortly after me and tried to strike up a conversation. I kept it friendly and short and then resumed what I was doing. She seemed put off by that. And then literally the similar situation to the video I mentioned happened. I was at the grocery store. We bumped into each other. I said short small talk things and wished her a nice day. My other coworkers, including women, I am more buddy-buddy, and we have inside jokes. My coworkers buy me birthday presents, and we have a good time. My new coworker and I work in the same small department, so she interacts with me a lot. She approached me and said that I am ignoring and isolating her. I told her I just don't want anything to be misconstrued. I keep it professional. If I'm ordering coffee or food for the group, I ask what she wants. I just make sure not to bring up personal life stuff with her. Okay, so the question was, am I the asshole for ignoring and not including my female coworker, even though that's what she requested? Okay.
First, I'd like to state there's definitely an episode of The Office that this whole thing reminded me of. And it's called, I think it's called Sexual Harassment Training or Harassment Training or something. It's a great episode. Check it out. Okay, so he put here, I assume I got that vibe. Even though that's what she requested. She said that she's the one that called the meeting.
Yeah.
She didn't outright request not to be a part of things, but did say that she agreed with everything the meeting went over.
Right. So which is a signal to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, keep it professional with me.
100%. That is what I would take from that. And I don't know that he went down the wrong path to feel uneasy in having any other kind of conversation with her because she probably, if she was fairly new and asked for this meeting, we don't know what her situation was, but that is a weird situation to end up being put in. So you would get the vibe that you need to keep things ultra professional with her.
You know what?
Right?
Yeah. No. So I think OP in this situation, she signaled to everybody what her boundaries were, and then wanted you to do something that acted against those boundaries that she had defined. And I think you're well within your rights here to say, okay, look, I'm confused because
maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, because in this meeting that you specifically requested, you said that you agreed with all of these things. So that's how I've been acting with you. And now you're acting or outright saying that you don't agree with the way that I'm acting. So what is it specifically that you have the issue with here? Is it how I am acting now? Or do you not agree with what was depicted in the meeting that we had? And if that's the case, why did you say that you did? Like, you can't say those things and then expect people to not take them seriously. This also has a little bit of a vibe like I am doing pre-work so that I can execute a harassment case on someone.
Yeah.
If needed, because having like requesting that meeting ahead of time and specifically saying I requested this is almost like building evidence, right?
It does give that vibe off, and it sounds kind of asshole-ish to say that, but it does give that vibe of I might be a person that is extra sensitive to things or will cause a problem if you don't, do things the way I want you to do them. But she's really leaning into that by then, I agree with everything. I think that's the way it should be. But then calling out, I assume, one specific person. We don't know if she's calling out other people who are following the guidelines that she said that she felt were appropriate. But you can't then call somebody out for doing what you've said that you feel is the appropriate thing to do.
Right. And maybe
that puts you in a position of being the asshole.
Yeah.
Or the harasser in the situation. If he's doing literally nothing but being professional, then I'm not sure how you feel like you have a leg to stand on here.
Right. It's a really odd situation. And I think that the new hire, and by the way, OP said that he didn't want this to turn into a don't trust women situation. I don't think that's what this is. This is a don't trust this person situation.
Agreed.
If it is what I get the vibe that it is. But also, she may have an issue here, not with how you are with her specifically, but how it is a complete contrast or the other end of the spectrum from how you are with everyone else. And that's why she's saying that she's being singled out and isolated, because you act one way with everyone else, but very differently with her. I still agree with what I said in the beginning. I think you have every right here to say, okay, well, because you did and said X, Y, Z, my understanding with that was that these were the parameters and boundaries for how you expect people to behave with you. Yeah.
And he even said he has, if they order food or do whatever, he does ask her what she wants or includes her in that. But he also mentioned having inside jokes and things, which you're going to have with people that you've worked with for a while. And the new guy's always, I say guy, the new person is always going to be a little left out for a while. But it kind of feels like she placed herself in a position to distance from other people a little bit.
And then got mad because she was distanced from other people.
Yeah. And that's not, I mean, I would hope it wasn't done in the name of harassment or, just trying to make sure there's no harassment or something like that. But it sort of gives off that vibe a little bit by then not attacking, but singling this guy out for doing that.
I think if you have mixed signals about your boundaries, and not just mixed signals, but polarizing signals here, it's just difficult to trust someone who does that. So people don't know what to think. So by default, they're going to keep distance for their own safety here.
For sure, you are going to keep walls up.
She just has to decide, what does she really want in a work environment here, because she sent this message out to everybody.
And it is really difficult, I think, to keep that. when you get into like friendly relationships with coworkers, there is a little bit more leniency in conversation, I guess,
Sure.
or jokes can get a little unprofessional probably sometimes. And that can get not weird because probably everybody's on board who's having the conversations, but this person's not putting herself out there as an open to conversation type person. She's putting herself out there as a open to my conversation type person. You know what I mean? Like, I want things to go the way I want them to go. And yeah, you're going to put walls up to that. I think I would be very careful about the things I would say and do around her.
I don't care who it is. If the first thing that they do when they start working for your company is request a harassment meeting,
super in depth.
It's very in depth.
Yeah,
I'm going to be.
That goes as far as
guard.
saying. Also, I run a business, and I don't think it's my place to tell my employees that they can't talk to each other outside of work.
That was weird.
That's not appropriate. If you want to talk appropriate, now I do have expectations for the way they conduct themselves. If they are wearing my logos and if they're there or in any position or place that they're there to be representing me or my business, then I think I do get a little bit of say in how they conduct themselves and what they say. But if two people, by the way, if these are your coworkers, you're spending the most time with them. Like, the girls at work, that's who I'm with way more than I'm with my family.
Right.
Way more than I'm with my husband. I don't spend as much time with other people as I do the girls at work. So you're going to form relationships with them, with your coworkers. And if you're lucky, you get to be friends with people and go have experiences outside of work.
Yeah.
And that's not always going to be an appropriate situation. And you're not going to do that with everybody you work with. But that is weird that it was the company got into what you can and can't do. Here's what the conversation should be limited to. I feel like either there's way more to this story about a situation that's happened or something
with her,
well,
because she asked for.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
there's more to her for sure, but I
sure.
think she has to understand that whenever she requests things like that, it puts everyone on guard, and then they have to protect themselves.
And then if you're going to do that, stand up for yourself on it. I mean, you stick by it, I guess. But to say I agree with everything they did and then act put out when that's how I treat you.
How dare you behave in a way that I agree with?
Yeah. Like in the coffee line, and it's nice weather. Hope you have a great day. And then you act mad at me. Like, what? I don't understand what's happening. The mixed signals are
behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever watch New Girl?
I didn't.
Okay. There's this really
Zoe,
good. Yeah, Zoe Deschanel.
I didn't ever watch the full episodes.
They have a really good episode where they're going through like a sexual harassment course, but the same day this really hot teacher starts working there that she's really into, so she gets all flustered by it. But her whole thing is, if you feel uncomfortable and someone is saying something inappropriate or has touched you or something, you do this. You with both hands up. Shut it down.
Nice.
Shut it down.
Yes.
So it's one of Candace's favorite episodes, I think, because she actually uses that sometimes.
I love
Shut
that.
it
Shut
down. Yeah.
I like it.
Hang on to it.
I think also what you were saying about him just saying it. It's so important in a work environment just to say what you need to say. Communicate. I tell them at work all the time, you're adults. Communicate like adults. Just say it. So I think it is probably the best move for him to just say it. I am very confused by what you have said that you think is appropriate, and then your behavior whenever I follow those guidelines and rules. I don't understand what you're confused about or why you're feeling this way. I'm sorry that you feel this way. And I do think it's important to validate people and their feelings, because everybody's feelings are valid. But I don't understand. I appreciate them. I understand that you feel them, but I don't understand why you feel them. So please help me understand.
Yes.
how I am making you uncomfortable in this when I am literally following every rule you gave me to make you comfortable. I don't know what to do here.
I mean, I do understand his hesitation to bring it up because he's on guard, right?
Oh, I wouldn't bring it up one-on-one.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And I wouldn't frankly have any one-on-one conversation with this person probably. And maybe that's rude or, jumping to conclusions, but she's kind of put that out there as
you have to be on guard.
You have to be on guard.
Like you don't. I mean, at this point, it's almost like OP needs to go to HR and be like, okay, look, here's the deal.
I was getting ready to say that same thing.
She said she agreed with all that and wanted it to be strictly professional, and then she's mad at me because everything's strictly professional. I don't know what to do.
And I got to work with her all the time, and I don't know what to do.
I don't know. Help me.
Yeah.
Not that would be any help. It would just further complicate things, but
you got to have the conversation with her, but you cannot do that by yourself. And HR's the most appropriate route, because doing it with just another coworker just is going to bring another coworker, and then she's going to feel ganged up on, which she might feel ganged up on, in HR.
Right.
As the HR person, if this came into me, I'd be like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me.
I jumped straight out the window.
Seriously. I'm done. I'm out.
What about, okay, here's a potential solution. Whole department goes out for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not working right then. It's, they're away from their desks, they're away from work, and everybody is socializing during lunch. Other coworkers hopefully would strike up conversation with her that is more personal and would be allow him to observe basically, what she's okay with without him putting himself directly on the line. Now you're allowing your coworkers to put themselves on the line, but it's a way for him to at least get a better gauge for that.
Yeah.
But I think then at some point, even if she is, open to friendly, chummy, buddy kind of workplace relationships with coworkers, then at some point the conversation has to happen where it's like, hey, why?
What was that?
Right. Like, did something happen? Not that you can ask that, but there's got to be some kind of context here so that you have a better understanding of how to communicate with this person, because right now they're just sending you crazy mixed signals, which is just even more concerning.
It is.
Like, I was scared before, right after the meeting, and now I'm just really scared. And
I feel trapped.
Has the eye of Sauron been pointed at me, and am I getting ready to get a harassment suit for not harassing you? Like, I don't understand.
It does feel that way, though. Now, I mean, it does feel like she's kind of honed in, and even if it's in most people, when they think harassment, they think a sexual harassment.
Right.
Harassment could also be this, ignoring and isolating. So maybe that's where that's weird.
Dear God.
You know what I mean? Anything can be harassment, but if the person is, I hate to say problematic enough, but it's kind of. So it does sort of a little feel like she's honed in on that because he's being extra careful. And in doing so, then it sort of puts her on.
So basically, we don't have a solution for you.
There's no solution. This sucks.
There is no solution for you.
Let's just be honest. You and your coworkers that you're cool with are definitely talking trash about this chick behind your back. And she probably knows that.
Well, you know what? That's something he didn't mention. He talked about his relationships with his coworkers. He did not talk about his coworkers' thoughts on her, on the new hire.
Right.
And that may be worth talking to them and being like, hey, what are you guys seeing? Because here's what I'm seeing. And then at least you as a collective, if you need to end up talking to HR and raise some concerns, or even talk to her and be like, hey, here's the mixed signals we're getting. We need to know which way to go here. You as a collective is a much safer play than you as an individual, or even you as an individual communicating with her and just witnesses being there. Having a collective as the department do it would be much smarter.
There's something deeper with this person, and it's with not OP, but the new coworker. And it's probably a whole lot deeper than a coworker would want to get into, I would imagine. I think
I just want to go.
I just wanted work and go home and
not be miserable at work and be able to be friendly with people and do my job and just go home. You know what I mean?
Yep, because that quick can turn into a toxic work environment when you're like walking on eggshells around this one person who he says he has to interact with a lot because of working in the same small department. Man, that is a really sucky, tricky situation that I hope that your managers or whoever's above you are paying attention to, because how fast that can turn toxic is crazy. And I feel
takes
a little
one black
bad.
cloud.
Yeah. I feel bad for this new person because I think that she's got some stuff going on, or has had some stuff going on.
Either has had some stuff going on and maybe, maybe as a condition for hire, like had to request this. I mean, there could be a lot more going on there than we know. Or it also could just be an issue of being one of those people.
She could just be one of those people
who looks for problems.
Mm-hmm.
And Candace and I say a lot that people who seek out problems will always find them.
Always. And are usually really good at masking that before they get the job or before they get to be allowed into whatever situation they're into. They can mask that. And then whenever it's too late, then those true colors start showing up, and then you're kind of stuck until you can figure out what to do.
First interview. I'm going to create complete dissension with this department, and then I'm going to burn this whole motherfucker to the ground.
You're going to hate your life by the time I'm done with you.
But here's the thing. You can't not hire me now because I'll use that too. Sign here.
Yep. That's exactly. It's crazy. That's crazy. But it's real.
Yeah, that's real. I mean, so something that's really funny, and we'll close part one on this topic, and you'll get it. As a younger adult, pre-business ownership, thinking about my plans for world domination and Ferraris and airplanes, and what I considered to be success at that time,
right?
And thinking about the process of building a business as a means to get there, I would have never guessed ever that the hardest part of building and growing a business would be people.
Yes.
Would have never guessed that, like, the human elements of people, not people doing their jobs. It's the rest of who they are and the problems they bring with them and their feelings and their emotions and the way that they think and the way that they misunderstand things because of who they are. Like all those human qualities are the hardest part.
It is.
Of success.
Agree. And you want to, in my case anyway, I really, really pay attention to the environment that I'm creating for my employees, that they feel heard and understood, and that I accept them for who they are and want the best for them as well, which bites me sometimes. But that is a hard thing, because you want them to feel like they're a valuable, and they are, if you're doing it right, a valuable member of your team. But God dang it, sometimes you want to be like, what is happening? Stop. Like,
right.
You don't want to be the sympathetic person who cares that much sometimes, because it's hard. People are hard. And robots, you haven't helped us with that yet either.
Come on, robots!
So thanks for that.
Good gravy. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it is. And I agree that the people part is difficult.
Humans are very complicated. And I would have never thought that would be the biggest barrier to success.
Yeah.
Is it just the human elements of humans? It's just a really interesting thing. And I like to have a lot of fun, and I'm sure that I have emotions somewhere. But when it comes to operations, I can very much be a robot.
Yeah.
And very much am task driven, calendar driven. And when I'm in the trenches as a soldier in what we do, I am, head down, kicking ass and taking names, just running as hard as I can. And I expect other people to do the same. And it's harder for me to understand and like relate to the human element side of things. But Candace, who, co-owns and runs this business with me, is, as much as I am a robot, she is the empath.
Yeah.
And
you guys balance each other.
It's a really good balance.
Awesome.
So everything is really good as long as she's here.
So you can't go anywhere, Candace.
No, yeah. I mean, as long as she's here,
Got to be here in the building, keeping him balanced.
Yeah. So the tough part is that with Navy now, it's like either I'm here or she's here.
Yeah.
And we have to just kind of trade off.
That's where Tony also helps. Because I feel
true.
like Tony also helps balance that part of you too. And I will say, I think Tony also thinks that he's pretty good at balancing you in some of that too.
Candy Thunder has called Tony Spark my work wife.
That I totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah. But there are times when he's like, HR, and Candace isn't there.
Mm-hmm. When my girls yell HR, I say, I don't know her.
She's gone.
She gone.
She gone.
She doesn't care anymore. You guys ran her out of the building. Love you all, I swear. But
I have so much greater appreciation for it now because I see, how important it is, the human resource side of HR. It's hugely important. It's just it's something that I always took for granted because I never felt how big the impact actually was until I was, butting heads with it. So
it's tricky.
Humans are complicated people.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't ascon this guy. You're not.
We didn't ascon.
You're not one.
No, not. So the specific question was, am I the asshole for ignoring and not including my female worker, even though it's what she requested? No. And
you're actually a seemingly pretty respectful person.
You're trying
and a great
to be
coworker.
Trying to be respectful. It's just a mystery as to what the that is. Right now,
you're a good person. No shitty person for you.
No shitty person for you.
You seem to be a good teammate too. So good job.
And good luck with that.
Good luck, man. Yeah, that sucks. Bad.
It's a difficult one.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, we will take a little break and we will be right back with part 2.